Hello, Ken. How are you this fantastic afternoon?
The sun is shining, Dan, and it is below 120 degrees in Phoenix. So I am feeling great. We're actually in two digits right now. So life is good here, my friend.
I am seeing a trend. The trend is that we are doing more of these in the afternoon, but it also can be confused with the fact that the sun is staying out later. So everything feels like afternoon, even if it's early evening or even night, right? So we're later in the year. This might be actually, we'd say, this evening, and it might be the exact same time. Pretty interesting, huh?
I think that our longtime viewers are going to be tracking this now as we
Yes.
approach the fall. I'm very excited about this.
Yes, they're going to create all these charts and graphs and try to say how many times did I say this evening, how many times did I say this afternoon. Like, yes, absolutely, that's something good to look at. But when we look at things, we have a good sense for where we are. But sometimes, Ken, we're stuck, and we're stuck flying blind. What is that all about?
That's all about, Dan, is when you get on the phone with Apple support with the best of intention to fix a problem with your auxiliary monitor. And the incredibly wonderful support person, I mean this sincerely, is working with you to try to troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. And you reset the power, and you can't power the computer back up. And you can't power it back up in safe mode. And there's seemingly nothing to be done. And that's what happened to me this morning. And I thought, well, we may have to cancel this, or I'll have to do it on my phone, whatever it is. But I was literally flying blind. And here's the cool thing. And I think this just comes with some practice, right? Like the first thought wasn't, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is a huge week ahead. I don't know how I'm going to handle this. The first thought was just, that feels kind of freeing to not have this computer that, I basically am attached to all day long, like staring back at me anymore. It was just, it was just quiet. And there was something really, really beautiful in that. And the second thing was, I thought, not sure the way this is going to go. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get an appointment at the Genius Bar. Don't know if I just need to go buy a new computer. Don't know if they could maybe replace the battery, which seemed to be like the problem. But whatever it's going to be, it'll be. And I'll do my best to work with my clients this coming week if I don't have a working computer. And it's all going to work out fine. But I knew that there was one thing coming up that I really, really, really wanted to enjoy, because I'd been working outside in 90-degree early morning weather, cleaning the fountain. And the thing I really wanted to enjoy was like a great shower. And I just thought, I'm going to have the best shower I've ever had. And I had a great shower, cleaned up, dressed. I came back in my office, and the computer has powered itself back up. I have no idea how. I have no idea what happened. I don't understand the complexities of what went on electronically after I had walked away, but it was back up and running. And at that moment, I felt grateful. I thought, this is cool. I'm not flying blind anymore. But I also had the realization that, given what had happened previously, it could happen again. And what it made me think about was that we're kind of flying blind all the time. We think we know what's going to happen next. We think we know that everything is going to keep working the way that we expect it to. But sometimes it just doesn't. And then sometimes it comes back in again. And I really got reconnected to the importance of the fact that life is just right here. It's just happening now. We've talked about this more times than I can count, but it's so important. It's like, we don't know. We just don't know. And the best thing to do when it feels like you're flying blind is to embrace it. There was something really, really peaceful in that moment of just accepting computer is dead. And now what? It's kind of like the so what? This happened. So what? What do I do? I got a phone. My husband has a computer I could use. We've got an Apple store 5 miles away. There were lots of things to do. There were lots of possibilities. And there was something magical for me in the embrace of the unknown, in the embrace of flying blind.
So I had the good fortune this past week to go to a concert. And as we were in the car, I was in the car with three other people. I was the passenger, not the driver. But as we were what we thought was about 4 or 5 miles away, the GPS showed a signal that it was offline. And we could not tell whether we were offline because we were just in like a dead spot, like in the route, or it was because there were thousands of cars going the same way and all of them pulling off the same cell towers. So therefore, it was overwhelmed. So it could have been a combination of both. We wouldn't know. But we were literally flying blind because we had a GPS that was just running off of its memory of the map. So everybody knows that uses GPS, which probably is everybody, that it will look at the cars around you and it will make adjustments for you, right? It'll show you like red lines or yellow lines, and there's like a lot of traffic. And then it will adjust how much time it's going to take to finish the route, or it'll reroute you, things like that. And there was something, just like Ken said, that was really freeing to just accept the fact that while it said, let's say 4 miles, it's like, this is only going to take 4 minutes. It's like, no, this is not going to take 4 minutes because we're going 1 mile an hour. This is going to take a lot longer. And we weren't really blind because of the fact that if we could trust that the cars in front of us in this huge line were going the same way we were, then we could just figure it out, which is exactly what happened. There were cars in these two lanes that were going other places, just happened to be in a bad spot at the wrong time. But for many, we could, as we approach closer, completely blind of exactly the route to take, or if we were going to be rerouted, or how much time it would take, we slowly kind of got our bearings back and were able to just kind of go with the flow, follow the crowd. But unlike the rest of the three people in my car, there was almost this relaxation, and that's rare for me. Most of the time, I would say there's this reaction that I get, almost like this frustration when you have a plan, like I'm just going to follow the GPS and it's going to take me where I need to go, and I know exactly when I'm going to get there. And then I kind of know how I'm going to adjust to the situation. In this situation, I was just like, it is what it is. It's that whole serenity prayer. I couldn't change it. So I just got to go with it. So I like that saying, it's like go with the flow. In this case, just go with the flow of traffic and accept the fact that I was flying blind.
This morning when I got up, I had on my whiteboard like literally the day marked out to the hour. It's like, here's where we started. I'd actually done it last night, and 5 a.m. walk with the dog, back home, coffee with Bob, cleaning the fountain out, diving into some work here for one of my clients, a couple of files that I needed to go through and sort, study French for my lesson tomorrow, on and on. There was everything. It was all mapped out, and it felt so good to like just think I'm in control. I have this nailed. This is exactly how my day is going to go. I know exactly and precisely what's happening and when it's happening. And then that goofy little computer's now dead. And all of a sudden, there's the choice of language. I think this is the other thing that's showing up for me, is like the choice of language. I had a wrench thrown in my plans, but was it really? I mean, like the negativity that normally can be evoked in situations like that. Plans went to hell. Everything fell apart. Somebody threw a wrench in it. And you think about these little cliches and these sentences, and certainly ones that I've said before, and what that then does to set you up mentally. Well, if everything's gone off the rails, if everything has gone south, if there's a wrench in the works, it just implies like the rest of the day is going to be a mess. And the fact is, the computer came back, but even if it wouldn't have, I was in such a cool mind space that I had already thought through, had my files, everything synced, send my files to Bob, work on his computer, send them back to my phone, email them out from there. It was going to be fine. And I also remember like my blood pressure not going up. And I remember not wasting energy on why did this happen? This is so unfair. And I reflected on the number of times that I've allowed that to happen, like consciously. Like there was some weird thing about having to demonstrate my anger that things hadn't worked out the way that I wanted. Maybe it's just getting older. Maybe it's getting a bit wiser. Maybe it was just enjoying the fact that it was under 100 degrees at 9 in the morning. But there is something so vital about a recognition that life just occurs. And it was in my morning calm meditation too. And the title of the meditation was Be Here Now. And I'm so grateful that I listened to that before I tried to start in the day. I usually do. And I'm so grateful that that's what the focus was today. And so I just felt myself calling myself back to just, what can I do now? In this moment, right now, what can I do? What do I have control of? I can do any number of things. And that was it. And it's like I would do one thing and then the next and then the next, and then everything powers up. And I stayed with the same question. What do I do now? There was also a very cool recognition of just how precious time is. And I'm not quite sure why that popped up, but I think, if you're busy during the course of the day, it's easy to take a little side trip down a social media rabbit hole. And all of a sudden I just got really clear on like every moment's like really, really, really important. How do I want to be spending it? How do I want to be spending now and now and now and now? And it just refocused me for the day. And I know it set me up for an amazing week ahead.
So I've had the good fortune to have about a dozen new clients this year. And these are coaching slash hypnosis clients. So this is not on the consulting side of things. And with that, each person comes in, I'll say, with this little bit of nervous energy related to hypnosis, right? So they look up the term, they think maybe hypnosis could help me with whatever I'm dealing with and trying to work through. But still, if they've never experienced it, there's always that like apprehension, like, oh, I don't know exactly what it's like. So in the process of explaining it to them, I talk about brainwave states, and I talk about the fact that hypnosis is something that this brainwave state, it's like an alpha, a little bit of theta that we go through right before we fall asleep and right before we wake up in the morning. The point is in this state of mind, your eyes are closed and you're living in your imagination. And if you were just doing it as you fall asleep or wake up, it's usually guided by whatever you're concerned with or worried about, right? So it's the things you're processing in your mind is what you're starting to imagine or starting to dream about. In hypnotherapy, obviously you have a guide there. So you have a person who can help lead what you're imagining in your mind. But where this connects to me is what we all do, and I do this wrong all the time, is in the morning. So as soon as we pass through this brainwave state that people call hypnosis and wake up in the morning time, the first thing we do is we move into the news typically, right? Like we're moving into somebody else's like frame of reference. We're letting somebody else guide our thoughts, because even though we've passed through this brainwave state and now we're awake, we're still there. It's not like the brainwave state just completely disappears and we're just completely wide awake. We're in this like middle zone where that part of the brain is still active, which means we're very susceptible to being affected emotionally by what goes on. So how is this like something we can take away from? It's we go to our phone. For most people, they wake up and they go to their phone. And so now, again, in this susceptible state of mind, you are subject to the things that you read. So whether that be your email, your text messages, social media, the news, etc., that starts to frame up what you do with your day. So I had never really contemplated that before because everybody talks about morning routines and where you should put your phone and how you should do it. But I never thought about it in the context of brainwave states and how susceptible you are to like actually create your dreams and go into your imagination with somebody leading it that you just passively went to, right? Like you're not exactly sure what's going to be available on your phone when you wake up. The same thing applies at nighttime, right? So in alignment with the theme that we have about flying blind, my recommendation for people would be put the phone, put the laptop, the computer, whatever you use, far away from you. It could be in another room or on the other side of the room, and go back to the ability where the only source of what can lead you is yourself. Like get a notebook. I have one right here in front of me. Have a notebook, something that you can, like your thoughts are coming into your mind that maybe you write them down or you go back and review your journal or something you're reading. And if you're going to be led by something, make sure you're very clear on that thing that's leading you. So maybe it's a book you're reading and you're using your imagination, you're in the character. So make it fiction, not nonfiction. So it's not worried or trying to improve, but it's something that you can have a control of what goes into your imagination and really like allow yourself to direct your mind versus letting outside sources direct you.
I think there's something really cool in that, in that thought, and I think that's like where that piece came from. Even though we start every day, there's no phones. We get up in the morning, we have coffee together, we put music on, and that's it. There are no phones, there's no TV, there's no news, there's no anything. We spend half an hour together over a couple of cups of coffee talking with each other. And then before we go to bed, it's like half an hour before bed, everything gets powered down. And I do a little gratitude journaling. That's my thing. But it's such a reminder of how easily things can get shaped by others if we're not vigilant about it. And I think, that's maybe what this whole, like this computer has come to represent, is like the power that it has if we're not vigilant to shape our thoughts, our mindset, how we approach the day. And maybe that's why my first response to it going dead was relief, just to feel so free. And I think that is the thing moving on from here that I hope people will take with them. That description, Dan, about where your mind is at just as you're coming out of sleep, where your mind is at just as you're entering sleep, and the power that's in that, and the way that that can shape how we sleep and how we face the day. That's incredible. And I hope people take that to heart and make sure that they set themselves up for the very best day and night that they can possibly have. The last thing I want to leave people with, I'm a private pilot, and there was a situation many years ago where I was with a super experienced pilot, thankfully, and we were in some unexpected weather and able to fly under instrument conditions. And I got this sense, and if you're familiar with instrument flying, you know that you literally are just focused on the instruments. You are trusting 100% what you're seeing in front of you. You're trusting that instrumentation. If you have a more experienced and seasoned pilot with you, you're trusting his or her judgment of what's happening. But what you're not doing is flying, quote, by the seat of your pants. You're not going by how it feels. You're going by the facts in front of you and by what's going on the instrumentation. And there was something about that trust and flying it down to the point where we broke out of the clouds and saw the runway lights in front of us and made a safe landing. That was really satisfying. I think the topic around flying blind is huge, and it can often sound like it means you're lost or it means you're going a direction you don't know. But I think what it can also mean in that last example is that even though you're unable to see everything that's around you, if you focus moment by moment just on what's right in front of you, in the case of my example, on that instrument panel, I'm going to trust, even though I might feel a little bit off, I'm going to trust what the instruments say. I'm going to follow that through. I'm going to follow the guidance and advice of somebody who's wiser and more experienced than I am. You'll have that moment of breakthrough and you'll see that runway in front of you.